We all know we're paying way too much for gas in California right now. But what I think a lot of people don't know is that price is going to go up even more, and it's going up in two different ways. First, there's the low carbon fuel standard. This is a regulatory requirement we have in California that requires the gas to be refined in such a way as the carbon intensity will be limited. The California Air Resources Board, based on the direction they've gotten from the Democrats, was going to increase that standard. And they were proposing to do that on their March agenda. In that agenda, they said with their proposal, it was going to increase your price by upwards of 50 cents a gallon. So just by increasing that program, it was going to increase it by 50 cents a gallon. But in addition to that, all of our fuels in California are covered by what's called the cap and trade program that they've established. And that program that's on top of, this is an additional program on top of the low carbon fuel standard, actually raises the price of your gas already by 30 cents. So that's another 30 cents a gallon that you pay because of this cap and trade program. And they're going to renew that program. There's already discussions on it right now. And when that program gets renewed, there'll be an additional tax on top of that through the cap and trade program. So you could see some very significant increases in your gas prices, and all of it has to do with government. Has nothing to do with the oil companies. The governor wants to keep talking to you about how the oil companies are gouging you. No, the government is gouging you. $1.28 a gallon is what you pay. Every time you go and fill up, $1.28 a gallon is federal and state taxes and regulations that you pay. And now that's going to go up even more with these two programs that are going into effect. The government doesn't want you to know that. In fact, they took that item off of the agenda in March because they don't want the bad press that comes with that they're actually the ones who are increasing your gas price. Honestly, there's many of them who actually want the price of gas to increase more and more because they want to get people out of gas cars. They want to push people into electric vehicles. But the problem with that is electric vehicles in many cases cost 3 times more than the regular car. A lot of people can't afford to do that. They already can't afford the cost of living in California as it is. But they're trying to force people into this. And moreover, we can't even handle all of those electric vehicles. Our grid is falling apart. And when you do that, you're going to increase the cost of utilities. Our power bills are already too high. So all of these things that they're doing, it's social engineering. It's trying to force you to do what they want you to do. But the effect it's having is pricing people out of California. And that's why we've seen so many people leave the state. And here's the other thing that's very frustrating is I think all of us want to do things to help ensure that we have a clean environment, that we have clean air, that we're reducing our carbon footprint, right? I think everybody sees value in doing that. But the things that we're doing and we're responsible for less than 1% of the world's carbon emissions here in California. But we're doing things that are very costly, right? And then at the same time, we're allowing China to build 2 coal-fired power plants a week. And then we're saying the governor is going to China and saying that we're partners with them. We're partners? We're paying all the costs, and then we're buying solar panels that are manufactured in China. We're buying their electric vehicles. The only one who's winning in that partnership is China. It's not California. The California consumer is paying the high cost of living and getting priced out, having to move to other states. That's why we're seeing this net migration, is because everything that the governor and the Democratic supermajority is doing just increases our costs. So it's really not helping us, in the grand scheme of things. And we're doing nothing to hold other countries accountable for their emissions. I think the only other state that has higher gas prices than us is Hawaii, and they're obviously an island, right? Our biggest problem in California is, one, it's very high costs. We put a lot of taxes and regulations on our fuel. But the other thing is we've made it hard to refine our fuel. And now, the governor just came out and did a press conference with Jane Fonda, right? And what were they announcing? This initiative to stop all domestic oil production in California. So right now, about 23% of our oil that makes gas in California comes from California, domestically produced. The rest of it's imported from all these other countries. Why should you care? Well, it costs more to import. If you're importing oil from other countries, it costs more. And by the way, we're talking about countries who have terrible human rights abuses, right? So you're empowering and enriching these petro dictatorships when you do that. But the governor comes out here and he announces this great initiative, like this is something great for us, when actually it's made us much more costly, and it's not as good for the environment when we're banning all domestic oil production, in the state of California and driving up our costs even further. It's a real problem.
If you haven't checked out CaliforniaInsider.com, we highly recommend you do that now, because we're going to have a lot of news and videos there. And on top of what we have there right now, we are building a really big platform to cover what's happening in California, so you can be informed. We're going to have more shows, more videos from all aspects of life in California. Go to CaliforniaInsider.com and we'll see you there.